tried a lot of different digital products this past year, and 3 of them didn't work out at all. 2 of these I've never actually talked about on my channel before. When I started selling digital products, I thought the best way to learn was just to try everything. Some ideas got traction, others didn't go anywhere. I've hinted at one of these in the past videos, but the other 2 are things I quietly tested behind the scenes and just never brought up because they didn't feel like a fit for me. So today I want to talk about all 3, why they didn't work, and what each one taught me. This video isn't to discourage anyone, but to show you the side of digital products that people don't usually share. The experiments, the pivots, and the things that you can only learn by trying. Let's start with the first one I was sure would take off, which was junk journals. If you're not familiar with them, a junk journal is essentially a handmade, artsy notebook that people use for memory keeping, creative writing, scrapbooking, or mixed media art. And on Etsy, a lot of sellers create digital kits like printable pages, tags, textures, and all these little decorative pieces that buyers print and assemble themselves. I got into junk journals less than 3 months after I started selling digital clip art, and it was honestly because of the demand. In this seller group I used to be in, a bunch of new sellers were posting and saying that they were getting sales almost immediately. So of course at that time my brain went, well, I should try this too. It seemed like the natural next step. Plus, from the outside, the design looked pretty straightforward. But once I actually started making them, even after buying a course to understand the niche, I realized how much more goes into junk journals. The first thing that surprised me was how much design work they require. Even though I used AI to generate my pages, they still needed a sense of cohesion and storytelling. Junk journal buyers love a very specific aesthetic, like vintage, layered textures, muted colors, little bits of ephemera that feel like they belong together. I wasn't just going to put 2 elements together and upload it, and matching that style consistently across multiple pages takes more design than I expected at that time. The second thing was the competition. Yes, I did say that new sellers were getting a few sales, but the niche is also full of longtime creators who have been refining their style for years. Their bundles look polished, cohesive, and intentional. And I remember scrolling through their shops and thinking, my stuff doesn't look like that. It made me hesitate a lot, which is never helpful when you're trying to build your own. The third thing was listing prep. Junk journal listings take a ton of visuals. You have to show every page, every element, every printable add-on, and buyers expect big bundles. At that point in my journey, I just didn't have the energy to keep up with that kind of production. All of that was when I realized easy doesn't always mean profitable, trendy doesn't always mean less work. And junk journals have their own sub niches. There's grunge, botanical, shabby chic, Victorian, fairy tale, each with their own audience and each requiring a pretty defined style. I also noticed that the skill curve for designing a cohesive kit was higher than I expected, and I could have pushed myself more, but the more I worked on it, the more I realized I wasn't actually enjoying the process, and that matters. If I were starting again, I'd focus way more on clip art. That was the only thing that felt natural to me and didn't overwhelm me. It also helped me build momentum and confidence without feeling like I had to produce huge bundles or follow a specific aesthetic. So the second digital product I tried was Amazon KDP, specifically puzzle books. This is my first time talking about this on my channel because KDP was the first digital product that I quietly experimented with on the side. What pulled me into it was a really detailed YouTube video tutorial I found. It walked through how to create the puzzles, format the book, upload it to Amazon, everything step by step. And then I made the mistake of reading the comment section where people were saying that they followed the tutorial and were already getting sales. And I'm not gonna lie, that kind of gave me hope that maybe I could do it too. So I decided to give it a try, and in the beginning, it actually felt doable. The tools for generating puzzles were simple enough, and once you understood the basics, the process wasn't that complicated. I created my first book, uploaded it, and thought maybe this might work. But once I waited for the book to go live and I started learning more about KDP, I realized how competitive the platform is, especially for puzzle books. It is one of those categories where thousands of people have the same exact idea at the exact same time. And a lot of the books you end up competing with are from established publishers or creators who've been doing this for years. The more I researched, the more I understood that KDP isn't just about making a cute interior. You also have to understand keywords, Amazon SEO, niche research, and ranking. And if your book doesn't rank, it is basically invisible. Your listing won't get found unless your keywords are strong and your covers stand out. And covers are a whole other skill. The other thing I didn't expect was how low the royalties are. You only get a few dollars per sale, and that is if you price competitively. So unless your book consistently ranks high or you're making multiple books every month, it is hard to build momentum. All of that made me realize that I didn't have the capabilities to go all in on KDP the way some people do. I'm glad I tried it, but it wasn't something I wanted to stick with long term. If I were doing this again, I would probably treat KDP as something to experiment with, not something to rely on. And I would not do puzzles. I would look into niches that matches my style or my personality. So that was my short-lived KDP phase. It taught me a lot, but it also showed me that not every beginner-friendly product actually fits the way I work. And that brings me to the third and final digital product I tried, which is something I also haven't really talked about on my channel: digital business tools. This includes business card templates, digital business card templates, planners, and all other digital business tools. This is another thing I've never really talked about on my channel because it was a phase I tested quietly to see if it would click for me. The reason I got into this category was because it felt practical. Everyone needs some kind of branding or a business tool at some point. And the templates I saw online looked clean and simple that I thought maybe I could create like a small collection of these, bundle them together, and offer something helpful for business owners. It also seemed like a lower pressure product to make compared to junk journals or puzzle books. When I started designing them, the process itself wasn't too hard. Yes, it still took time, but I like the idea of giving people something they could customize. But pretty quickly, I realized that the market for business tools is very competitive. There are sellers who specialize in this niche and their designs are extremely polished. Plus, a lot of them have a very strong branding style. I didn't really have that yet at that time, so my templates felt and looked more generic than I wanted to. The other challenge was that business-related products are very expectation heavy. Buyers want more modern design, clear structure, and layouts that feel professional. Even though templates seem simple, the design standard is high. I also realized something important about myself during this phase. I gravitate toward creative design, the kind you see in clip art or fun digital products. Business tools tend to lean more toward minimal, structured, and clean design, which is not a bad thing at all. It just didn't feel like a natural fit for my style. The other thing I learned was that templates and planners do best when they come from a place of lived experience, meaning you create something you actually use or something that you've tested in your own workflow. That time, I didn't use most of the products that I created. I just created them because they seemed a smart product idea. And that lack of connection made it harder to refine them into something that I was proud of. After uploading them, the listings didn't really move and I found myself not wanting to make more. That was the sign I needed. It wasn't a product problem, it was a "this isn't for me" problem. If I were starting again, I would only create tools I personally use or tools that support the kind of business I'm already building. That way, the designs come from real experience instead of guessing what people needed. So those were the 3 digital product ideas that didn't work out for me. And honestly, I'm so glad I tried all of them, even though they didn't become long-term products. Each one of them taught me something about what I enjoy, what I don't enjoy, and what actually fits the way I like to work. Trying different things helps me narrow what's sustainable and fun, not just what's supposed to be easy or trending. And that's something I think a lot of beginners forget when they first start. Your first ideas don't have to be perfect. They're just stepping stones to figuring out what you want to build. If you're in that stage where you're still experimenting, don't feel discouraged if something doesn't click right away. That's normal. It's part of the process. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye!